New auto tariffs that are hitting the US market here as of April 3rd could have a major impact on the automotive industry. A lot of car dealers are starting to panic. We're seeing a lot of them load up on inventory, fast track, build a lot of new products. They're filling up the lots. We see all kinds of new inventory there. And these ones straight off the truck, we're seeing all kinds of Broncos, full-size Broncos, because a lot of these dealers are trying to predict and get ahead of the program with the tariffs about to hit on April 3rd. A lot of car buyers, a lot of customers, and of course, a lot of dealerships are starting to panic. They don't know what to expect. The first wave of tariffs looks to be hitting any vehicle that's imported into the United States that are built and manufactured in other countries. Even Europe is about to hit with this, as well as a lot of Asian vehicles are all about to see some of these tariffs applied to their vehicles, which is effectively going to dump their competitiveness. Here's a brand new Ford just off the truck, 4x4. This one here is an XLT F-150. Beautiful truck. Yeah, you've got the big displays in there. You've got leather interior. I don't know if it has sunroof, but it is an XLT. And we look at a few options here. It's not a highly spec truck per se, but it does come at $72,540. Now, while many are saying these vehicles are built in the US, the F-Series trucks, that's largely true, but in many cases, parts are coming from other countries. In a lot of cases, the full-size diesel trucks, the 6.7s Power Strokes, are built in Mexico. So if it's not the full-size vehicle, if it's not the entire vehicle, a lot of these vehicles will have parts and components that may see heavy taxes, which of course adds price to the bottom line. So because of the flip of a switch on April 3rd, there may see a sudden increase in the price of these vehicles just due to these tariffs. You'll see a lot of these OEMs starting to load up their lots. More specifically, the dealers are calling for more vehicles and more inventory to hopefully get them off the bus. There is that transport time. And if you have the vehicle on the lot, then of course that's likely to be subjected to the original pricing. Now you'll see a lot of Escapes loading up. There's lots of trucks, full-size F350s, F250s loading up. There's lots of full-size trucks. We've got Harley Davidson editions. We've got Super Duties. Here's an F350. Here's another Harley Davidson. So there's a lot of this big metal that's just not moving. Lots of F-Series 150s, F150s. We got STX, XLTs. Hey, there's even Lightnings, and we know the Lightnings have been pushed really hard with incentives, of course, but you get all kinds of inventory filling up the lots. And these vehicles just keep going on and on and on. And vehicles like the Mavericks, they were highly sought after. You couldn't find any of these for a short time back, but now they're all over the place. But that's not because they're not selling. I mean, Mavericks are still selling. A lot of people are still looking for affordable vehicles, and this is one of the lowest cost vehicles Ford makes. The point is, a lot of these vehicles are getting pushed. A lot of these dealers are calling for more inventory so that they can be prepared for what comes next on April 3rd. Here's another one, an F-150. We have a Lariat. It's a beautiful truck. You got painted mirrors, beautiful rims. Of course, you do have the step guard there, and you have a significant price tag with a big pile of options. And this one here is going for $94,430. Of course, out the door, you're over 100 grand for this beautiful little F-150 Lariat. Significant amount of money, and we're not even underneath the tariffs yet. Wait till the tariffs hit. Could this truck be 110, 120 grand for a half ton? The rumor mill also has it that a lot of the EVs are about to see some pretty steep, significant price increases to the tune of anywhere from $10,000 to $15,000 pretty much across the board to get your hands on a new electric vehicle. Now, here, of course, the Broncos are going to come at a cost, so are these full-size trucks. But realistically, it's not just Ford. Stellantis with their Chrysler minivan built in Canada. These full-size diesel trucks have engines built in Mexico. And with many car makers, it doesn't matter whether it's Ford, General Motors, of course, who's leading the charge for full-size truck sales here this last quarter again, year over year. That could possibly change because any one vehicle here is manufactured out of 100% American hands. Sure, while the vehicle might be manufactured down in the US, there's parts that come from Canada, from Mexico, maybe even in Europe. There's parts that are coming from all sorts of areas. Initial projections indicate that your average vehicle may go up at $5,000, $8,000, $10,000 right off the top. it's not going to likely be a full 25% because a lot of these vehicles are built in some component in the US already, and that's going to obviously look at potential tax breaks. Now there's a lot of hearsay, there's a lot of rhetoric, and at the end of the day we don't entirely know until rubber hits the road. There's one thing that's for sure, is a lot of these big OEMs, whether it's Stellantis, General Motors, Ford, they're not going to go down kicking and screaming. They're certainly already been looking at potentially greasing pockets of those that can make some big decisions. And of course, that's going to help the brands. The conversation was also opened up to brands like Mercedes, Volkswagen, BMW. Now, BMW does produce some vehicles on North American soil. So does Mercedes-Benz. And a lot of those brands that are currently generating and building their vehicles on US soil really shouldn't see a huge impact. But a lot of them are being shipped directly from Europe. For example, Ferrari, the latest is they were interviewed and said that they're likely going to apply 10%, that Ferrari is likely to transfer that 10% across the board for some of their specialty models, to try to recuperate that 25% tariff. So likely not a lot of people are going to say, let's ante up and help those Ferrari buyers out and give them an extra 100 grand with a fund me page. No, that's likely not going to happen. Most people are with that sort of resources just going to pay the piper. But it's really more than that. It's the entire industry that we're going to see this impact. And it doesn't matter what make, model, type of brand, it's all likely going to see increases. But it's more than also just what we're seeing on the new car prices, because smaller vehicles like this may only see $1,000, maybe $2,000 increase, if it's even applicable. In many cases, it may not even apply. But where prices go up on brand new vehicles, it's going to impact the used car market, unfortunately, as well. So a lot of people feel that, you know what, I can skate around this and avoid this entirely. But we already know that the used car market is very strong right now. Inventory numbers are very low. We've seen this. Auctions don't have a lot of inventory to push through, and there aren't a lot of extra inventory on car lot on the used car sector, at least late model quality products. So the few that you do see sitting around are likely going to go up in value too. Because if people are going to see, look, I need to pay an extra $8,000 or $10,000 on my brand new vehicle like this, well, I'm going to go to used. So that's going to push the pressure up on a lot of these late model used vehicles like this. And as well, like Jeeps, they have been always popular, and naturally people are going to continue looking at the lowest cost option. During the cost of living crisis, most likely you're going to see big changes in the used car space too. So it's not just the brand new vehicles that are going to be hit, it's the used car space too that you're going to see some price increases. Likely you're going to see the whole factor rise. So where you see a 5 or 10% increase across the board for the major brands and the major models that you see every single day driving around on the road, those same used models are likely going to see and enjoy the experience of going up in value too. Now, while somebody who's in the market and maybe trying to get out of one of those used vehicles, it could be good news for you. But for those out shopping, trying to just get a decent deal, a decent car for a decent deal, you're likely going to be surprised after that tariff date what you're about to experience, and that's increased prices, both new and used. Another drawback is when this vehicle's a few years old, you're likely going to need parts for maintenance, repairs. You know, you might need some brakes, you might need a new starter, a water pump in your vehicle. It doesn't matter. 5, 10 years old, they start to get older, they start to wear out. Every vehicle does that. And it doesn't matter if it's a Ford, Chevy, BMW, Ferrari, or anything in between. Likely they're gonna need repairs, they're gonna need parts, they're gonna need parts replacements, servicing, even filters, even all those other components. But guess what? All those parts, many of those parts, are manufactured outside of the United States. And as such, your visit down to the parts department is likely going to see increases as well. It's bad enough that we've seen prices on used car parts go up in the last 4 or 5 years following suit with the overall cost of living crisis and inflation as well, but we're about to see more, and likely anything produced outside of the States, we're going to see some significant price hikes on any of those parts. Sadly, even with the parts, you're likely not going to necessarily see it in the way you'll see a vehicle, where you look at a full-size truck and today it's 100 grand, tomorrow it's 115, and you wonder what happened. Well, that's sticker shock, because you didn't expect it, and all of a sudden overnight that price went up. You won't necessarily see it in the parts, but that will come in phase slowly, and you're likely going to just naturally see this increased cost. You won't necessarily feel it right away, but with time you're going to start to recognize, wait a minute, why do these disc brakes cost $300 per corner? It just doesn't make sense. those are going to be the small incremental cost shocks that we're all going to see in the next few months and the next few years. That's right, this whole market is going to flip. I've talked to some dealership managers and things are changing, and every dealership seems to be handling things a little bit differently. Some are trying to push products out the door, heavily incentivized products, just to make a ton of new sales. Some customers are deciding to step up and buy their car now and fast track that purchase, try to put the pen to paper before that April 3rd date. A lot of people are reacting, knee-jerking, and responding accordingly. Some brands and manufacturers are filling up their car lots while others aren't. Everybody seems to be doing something a little bit different in their own interpretation of how that impact looks to be hitting North American buyers. I'd love to hear your thoughts on how you think the tariff's going to impact you on your day-to-day life. Are you going to buy a car? Are you going to rush out before that big date? Are you possibly going to go stockpile some parts for your car, your older truck or car? Whatever it is, everybody's thinking about this and how that's going to impact them in their own personal lives. A lot of people aren't necessarily feeling sorry for the CEOs and the OEMs, but at the end of the day, how does this impact you and your wallet? That's what we care about. And I'd like to hear more about your thoughts on how you feel that 2025 is going to pan out and how you see the overall market reacting. Love to hear it. Hope to see each and every one in the next one. See you then. Bye-bye.